Hello, welcome to the Basketball Soapbox. I'm your host, Daniel Daly. And in this one, we're going to go over Friday night's, last night's games, game sixes, two paramount game sixes where we had two big time games, one highly contested game, which was a shocking one, and one that didn't turn out so shocking and was a blowout from the start. But let's get into the more important game. The Kings forced game sevens with a 118-99 victory against the Golden State Warriors at Chase Center. This was an entertaining match in the first half, and the Kings just hanged on the whole way in this game. Really coming out with gangbusters, really starting off good with Keegan Murray knocking down a couple of threes. De'Aaron Fox playing with poise. Malik Monk, who has been a terror off the bench all series for the Kings in this series, and it just seemed like the Golden State Warriors just never got off to a really good pace, really never got off to a really good start, even though they had good starts from Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. But let's stay on the Kings side of things. De'Aaron Fox with 26 points and 11 assists. Malik Monk with 28 points off the bench. These two have been a dynamic duo and have been attacking with the tutelage of Mike Brown. Mike Brown basically getting them in the right spots, having them continuously stay aggressive throughout this series, and it was put on full display here tonight, especially at the Chase Center. And you see that type of poise from this young group and the coaching of Mike Brown to get this team ready for this game six on the road. You had a heartbreaker of a loss in game five at home, and to come into not Oracle, not anymore, to come into the Chase Center and do that against this veteran team, this championship team that has a great home record, um, who just won a road game there where they don't win road games. You figured that the Warriors would wrap this up with their championship experience, big game ability, and they didn't. And the Kings from the start were on it. They came out aggressive with Keegan Murray, of course, knocking down some threes and just staying with it. And that's all it was just the Kings staying with it. Every single time the Warriors tried to creep back in, um, the Kings put it away. They built that lead back up, kept pushing it back up, and eventually pulled away late in the game and late in the game there. And you got to give kudos to the Kings here. This is a young basketball team. You think after a game like game five, you figured they would have been done, right? Like that type of heartbreak at home when you could have a chance to go up 3-2 and then to turn around and say, hey, we have our opportunity here to get it back home. And to do that, just kudos to the Kings in their play and how they were able to do it, and just really outworking the Golden State Warriors, who just seemed to be lackluster all night. Getting on to the Warriors side of things, no game six Clay heroics here. They came out like gangbusters. I believe he had 14 in the first half. Steph Curry with 12. So those guys were on in the first half, really carrying the Warriors, and they had a 7-point deficit into halftime. And you're looking at the Warriors, and you're like, okay, they're going to eventually turn it on, eventually put the Kings away, the feisty Kings away. Like we expected the Kings to fight. They've been tough all series. And you just expected the Warriors were going to get back in it. And they didn't. And that lead just kept growing a little bit more and more each time. It grew to 12, grew to 15, grew to 20. And it's like, hold up, wait a minute. The Kings might not be losing this game, right? Like the Warriors might not win this game, right? And it just turned out that way where everybody was struggling. Jordan Poole was horrendous from the field. I believe he was 2 for 11. Draymond Green really didn't have that impact that he usually has. And it was just interesting to see the Kings go in there and really take it to the Golden State Warriors, where the Golden State Warriors are at home, supposed to finish this, go to the next round, get a little bit more rest. And now they push the game, and now they have to go in on Sunday to battle this Kings team who has won at home, been up 2-0, has the advantage, playing with nothing to lose. And yeah, the Warriors season could come to an end here on Sunday. And just because of this game, they lost the opportunity here to go to the next round. Um, at home, they could have finished it up and had a little bit more rest. I believe that game would have been Tuesday night. They would have had a little bit more rest there. But no, game game 7 of this series is going to be Tuesday. It's going to be Tuesday. It's very interesting to see how that will play out. Um, But yeah, this was just a battle of the lackluster Warriors. The Kings had 17 threes to the Warriors 10. And when the Warriors are losing that 3-point shooting battle, which you don't think they would do, at home, only scoring 99 points, that was alarming. The Kings 53 rebounds to the Warriors 42 after all the performances of Kevon Looney. You got Andrew Wiggins out there who has become a better rebounder. Draymond Green, who you figure would be controlling the boards and getting those long rebounds and pushing in transition. That stuff did not happen. The Kings getting 25 assists to the Warriors 20, moving the ball really well, getting all their shooters open, getting easy opportunities, able to score, and especially with points in the paint. The Kings outscored there too, 44 to 36 against the Warriors. So you're just sitting there and just seeing how each level of play, the Kings just took advantage of the Golden State Warriors, beat them at their own game, and did it better. And to build up a 19-point win is fantastic for the Sacramento Kings young team and having confidence going into Game 7. Of course, the champions, the former defending champions, are going to be ready. They have had these type of situations before, and to be in this situation is wow. The Kings' the ability to force Game 7 has really changed a lot of things for this series, potentially the second round, potentially the playoffs, because people were actually picking the Warriors to go to the finals, and they have a high probability here of being a struggling team on the road to try to win a game in Sacramento, a feisty fan base. And that fan base is going to be ready. They're going to be ready for the Golden State Warriors to come in there and put them to bed, right? Like put them out of the playoffs, right? Like this is crazy. Like this young upstart Sacramento Kings team, which was stuck in the mud, had a bunch of questions, and people thought, hey, they can kind of just win a couple games here. That'll be fine, and that'll be a success for the season. The Kings really have an opportunity to go to the next round. They have an opportunity to go to the next round. The Sacramento Kings, who have not won a playoff game since 2006 prior to the series, have a chance to eliminate the defending champions and go on to the second round. It's in play. It's possible. But let's get ready for Sunday. Game 6 was a barn burner, a great game for the Sacramento Kings. But the two best words in sports, Game 7, will happen Sunday night in Sacramento. Will we light the beam, or will the Warriors get a chance to play again and continue to defend their championship? We shall see. Moving on to the last game of the night, we have the Lakers advancing to the second round with a blowout victory by 40 points, 125 to 85 over the Grizzlies. A shocking game because I felt like the Grizzlies had something. They had a chance to get in there and really upset the Lakers, right? I picked the Grizzlies to win this series in 6. That didn't happen. A lot of things transpired. Ja Morant getting hurt with his hand. Them having to play undermanned, all these other things. And I was like, I still think the Grizzlies, if they pushed the pace and able to knock down enough shots, they would have a chance. And Friday night, they had absolutely no shot. No shot. The Lakers came out with a high intensity on both ends of the floor, especially defensively, really protecting the rim. Anthony Davis was fantastic on the boards and inside, really dominating the Grizzlies on the inside on both sides, and that played the big dividends in terms of how they were playing. D'Angelo Russell had a big game with 31 points, really stepping up and helping out the Lakers. Why did I spell that like that? Well, helping out the Lakers. 1 second. Yes, helping out the Lakers and playing big time for them, knocking down a bunch of threes. Really giving them that offensive punch that they desperately needed over all series. And they got it from D'Angelo Russell tonight. Before it was Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura and all these other guys that came in and contributed. Tonight it was D'Angelo Russell. LeBron James had 22 points. Anthony Davis, again, big factor on the inside, on the interior, on both sides of the ball. 16 points, 14 rebounds, but 5 blocks. I believe he has the second most blocks in franchise history behind Shaq. In terms of a series, he had 26 for the series, I believe. I believe he's behind Shaq. Just speaks to the level of Anthony Davis and the level that he can play at. especially on the defensive end. And that really deterred the Grizzlies a lot tonight. Attacking the basket, finishing, being efficient. He had a big factor to do with that. And the Lakers advance, right? The Lakers go on to await the Warriors-Kings matchup, which is on Sunday, as I spoke about earlier. And we'll see who they're facing. Would it be a Curry and LeBron matchup, or would it be a rematch from 2002 of the Chris Webber Kings and Shaq and Kobe Lakers? Can we get that matchup again? There's so many intriguing matchups heading into the second round here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because if we get the Kings Lakers rivalry, that's going to be a crazy series. It's going to be another youth versus old movement. The pace of that, how fast the Kings and Lakers are going to play up and down. Will that have an effect on the Lakers, who have bigger guys, older guys like LeBron, injury-prone players like Anthony Davis? Is that going to play a factor on them? And then we have the Warriors on the other side. Steph Curry, LeBron James, it's always going to be good. Old-timers game, right? Looking at that series, which is probably what the NBA wants, probably what the NBA fan base wants, the most intriguing matchup probably. Of course, they want that. But of course, this game, let's get to the Grizzlies side. The Grizzlies side had no answers, absolutely none. John Morant, only 10 points, 3 for 16. Desmond Bane, 15 points, 5 for 16. Completely different in their Game 5 performances that they had a couple nights ago. Just couldn't really get going. Tough to get anything inside, especially when you're going up against Anthony Davis and Vanderbilt and all these other guys that can switch. The Lakers stepped it up defensively, and it showed right there. And that was tough for the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies really had no answers. That was pretty much the only shot they had, was to go down guns blazing, and they didn't. And to absolutely have no answers was kind of disappointing. To lose by 40 points, Dylan Brooks having another ugly game, and they really have no upside here in terms of in that series. Jaren Jackson Jr. struggled as well from the field, only had 14 points, not really good overall night. I don't think anybody can play really good in a 40-point blowout as the Grizzlies just did. So when you look at the Grizzlies being undermanned, it's unfortunate, but that's the result. They lost the game, right? They lost the series. Their season's over. John Morant getting questioned about I'm fine in the West comments. And he said he said what he said. He has to live with it. And I think it's funny how people are jumping on John Morant for that. And it's like, he said that in December when they were full strength and one of the top teams in the West. And to come out and now get hurt. Steven Adams is out. Brandon Clark is out. Two vital rotational players that provide huge dividends for this team, that gives the Grizzlies flexibility, especially on defense and offense. To not have those two guys there was vital. I thought that was very vital to the impact of the series. Anthony Davis went bonanza. And you're just like, why are people harping on this? Because they want to see the Grizzlies downfall. Okay, that's fine. But it's like, this team wasn't even at full strength. They were down two rotational players, and people are getting on them and making all the. I mean, that's part of the game, right? That's part of the internet, right? They're going to make their memes or whatever the case may be. But looking at the optics, I think the Lakers are very lucky to have Steven Adams and Brandon Clark out. And people don't think highly of them or whatever the case may be. I just thought that would have been a matchup advantage. You wouldn't have had that presence like that against with Anthony Davis. I feel like if Steven Adams and Brandon Clark were available. And I feel like Tillman he played well in this series, but I feel like he got a little overextended a little bit. But you would have had a different bunch of lineups that you could have played, a little bit more bench for depth, a little bit more bench reliability there, a little trust factor there, playing more guys instead of playing the guys like Roddy and Zaire Williams and all these other guys that you have to play. And it's like, there would have been a little bit more comfortability there, a little bit more balance there for the Memphis Grizzlies. But let's give kudos to the Lakers, especially in this game 6, really shutting down the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies only shooting 30% from the field and 31% from three, which is atrocious. They had no answers, absolutely none, with Vanderbilt and Anthony Davis and these guys squeezing the lanes and basically protecting the rim like that and not being able to get points and get to the line like they would have. Paid dividends, and not getting those second chance points that really helped the Grizzlies, especially with the loss of Steven Adams. You look at it from that perspective, you're like, okay, there's not really much, especially if the shot's not falling, Luke Kennard's hurt. All this other stuff is happening to the Grizzlies, and it's just unfortunate because I feel like this could have been a better series. It could have probably won 7, and it didn't. Kudos to the Lakers for shutting it down defensively, stepping up on that side of the ball where they really needed to, and really getting other guys involved, like especially D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves and all these guys. Kudos to the Lakers. They're advancing, made the big trades after the trade deadline, made the playoffs, and have a chance to pull up a big upset and have a favorable side of the bracket. It looks like they can go in and beat the Warriors. It looks like they can go and beat the Kings and be in the Western Conference Finals. And whether that's the Suns or the Nuggets, they match up well. They're going to have a depth advantage. They're going to have a size advantage against those teams. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes for the Lakers moving forward. But yeah, that brings it down. And it's very interesting to see where these series are going to go. That will do it for this episode, as it just recapping last night's games. I did do a Eastern Conference preview, semifinals preview of the Celtics and Sixers and the Heat and Knicks. That will be up on Sunday. This will be up Saturday morning, this episode, reviewing Game 6s. We only have one game on Saturday, which will make it a little bit easier with these games up so late. We have game 1 of the Suns and Nuggets, so that will be interesting to talk about as well. Heading into Monday, we have all these games happening. We have the Knicks and Heat as well. We have the Warriors and Kings on Sunday. Those 2 games are going to be interesting to talk about. I'll probably talk about those on Monday. But that will do it for this episode, and I'll be uploading these soon. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time.